pleasant morning to everyone. My name is Angelica E. Castilla, and today I am going to discuss about Azure Model and Samar Model by Ruben A. Ventura. So, unahin natin yung Azure Model. So, what is Azure Model? The Azure Model provides a clear and structured framework for lesson planning, which help teachers organize their thoughts and resources effectively. So, yung Azure Model daw po is nag-provide ng clear and structured framework sa ating teachers habang nagagawa sila ng kanilang lesson plan. Sa madaling salita po is, yung Azure Model po is naglalaman ng mga steps or hakbang o pamamaraan na kung saan ito yung sinusunod nila para maging maayos yung kanilang pagtuturo and maging effective. So, pumunta na po tayo sa 6 steps ng Azure Model, which is number 1 is analyze the learners. So, ito po yung unang acronym sa Azure Model, which is the letter A, means analyze the learners. So, the first step in the process is that the teacher should analyze the attributes of her learners. So, dito po, i-analyze nyo po yung learners nyo, na kung saan, aalamin nyo kung ano yung characteristics nila. And then, after nyo po ma-analyze yung learners nyo, ito po yung mag-guide sa inyo kung ano po yung pipiliin yung strategies or resources na gagamitin nyo na applicable po sa iyong mga learners. And then, sa pag-analyze po ng ating learners, dapat i-consider po natin ito yung age nila, yung academic abilities nila, if sino ba sa kanila yung fast learner and slow learner, yung gender nila, and yung interest nila. So, kasi may mga estudyante tayo na mas interest nila na mag-perform kaysa more on discussion, sulat-sulat, more on sagot-sagot sa mga papel. So, mas nag-excel kasi yung ibang estudyante natin through performance. And then, i-consider rin natin yung prior competencies nila. So, ito din kasama to sa pag-analyze ng learners natin na alamin natin kung ano yung prior knowledge nila sa ituturo natin. So, pangatlo is yung learning styles such as auditory and visual. So, dito naman sa learning styles, may mga estudyante kasi tayo na malabo yung paningin. So, if ever na malabo yung paningin ng ating mga estudyante, or may estudyante tayo na malabo ang paningin, tapos nakaupo pa siya sa ulian. So, may tendency na hindi niya makita or hindi niya marinig kung ano yung itinuturo niya. So, mas okay na paupuin natin sila sa unahan para makasabay sila sa itinuturo niya. And makita nila yung mga nakasulat sa blackboard or sa TV habang tayo ay natuturo para naman makasabay sila. So, yung pangalawa pong step sa Azure Model is state standards and objectives. So, meaning, after the analysis of the learner attributes, the teacher must state standards and objectives for the learning module. So, this statement consists of a specification of what the learners will be able to do as a result of the instruction. So, after mo ma-analyze yung learners mo, mag-i-state ka ng standards or objectives sa iyong mga learners. Na kung saan, aalamin mo kung ano ba yung objectives mo sa iyong mga learners. Nakafocus to sa kung ano ba yung dapat matutunan ng ating learners sa lesson mo, ano ba yung gagawin nila sa lesson mo, ano ba yung mangyayari sa lesson mo. So, dito, para magkaroon tayo ng good set of learning objectives, kailangan natin tandaan yung ABCD, na kung saan yung A, audience, So, kapag gumagawa ka ng objectives, iisipin mo, for whom is the objective intended? So, para kanino ba yung objective? Siyempre, para sa estudyante mo yun. Sila yung i-consider mo dito sa paggawa mo ng objectives. So, pangalawa, behavior. Letter B, behavior. So, what is the behavior or performance to be demonstrated? So, ano ba yung behavior na gusto mong makita? Or ano ba yung performance na gusto mong makita sa mga estudyante mo while you are discussing or nagtuturo sa unahan? Kundi, sa pangatlong is C, which is conditions. So, what are the conditions under which the behavior or performance will be observed? So, ano ba yung mga conditions mo sa mga estudyante mo habang ikaw ay nagtuturo or habang sila ay nagpa-perform? So, yung pang-apat is letter D, which is degree. Dito, to what degree will the knowledge or skill be mastered? So, ano ba yung gusto mong itatak sa utak ng mga estudyante mo? Ano ba yung gusto mong matutunan nila sa lesson mo? So, sabi dito, the objectives can be used in assessing the success of the students, perhaps for the grading process. Also, you can use them to let the learners know what they will accomplish throughout the class. So, dito nga, mahalaga na bago ka magturo is basahin mo muna yung objectives mo sa iyong mga learners. For example, bago ka magturo, babasahin mo sa kanila yung objectives mo. So, at the end of the lesson, grade 3 students should be able to 1. Identify, describe, ganyan. So, kasi ako, naaalala ko nung high school ako, yung teacher ko is talagang binabasa niya yung objectives niya bago siya magsimula ng klase. So, ako as a learners, nagkakaroon ako ng idea na, ay, ito pala yung ituturo ni sir. Parang exciting yung ituturo ni sir kasi gagawa kami ng ganito after niya mag-ano. So, yung estudyante natin is na-appreciate niya or na-excite siya sa lesson mo kapag binabasa mo yung objectives nila or nalalaman nila yung objectives mo sa kanila throughout your lesson. So, sa pangatlong steps naman po sa Azure model is select strategies, technology, media, and materials. So, the second S in the acronym stands for select strategies, technology, media, and materials. Given what your learning objectives are, it's necessary to pick instructional strategies, technology, and media that will bring about the result that you want. So, dito, magsaselect ka or pipili ka kung ano ba yung suited na strategies sa iyong mga learners, ano ba yung technology na gagamitin mo, maggamit ka ba ng laptop, computer, TV, or projector, or PowerPoint, ganyan. So, dapat yung habang gumagawa ka ng lesson plan, i-consider mo din dito yung learners mo kung ano ba yung suited sa kanilang strategies, technology, tsaka materials na gagamitin mo sa iyong pagtuturo. So, dito, you should figure out which delivery method will be best for your instruction. So, dito nga, pipili ka kung ano yung pinaka-the best na delivery method na gagamitin mo sa iyong pagtuturo. So, for instance, what proportion of your instruction will be instructor-centered and what proportion of will be student-centered? Kasi minsan, may mga teacher tayo na student-centered lang sila. More on, sila lang yung nagpa-facilitate sa student nila. So, mas gusto niya na yung student niya yung gumagawa ng mga task or ng mga basta mas may mga teacher tayo na gusto nila more on performing yung mga student natin. While yung other teacher naman is more on gusto nila sila lang yung bigay ng knowledge or ideas sa mga student nila. Or more on discussing lang yung ginagawa niya. And siya lang yung nagsasalita. So, The first of these strategies are such as lecture. So, yun nga, masabi ko yung minsan may mga teachers tayo na more on gusto sila lang yung nagle-lecture or more on lecturing lang or demonstration or showing a video. So, dito sa delivery method, magsaselect ka kung ano ba yung delivery method na gagamitin mo sa iyong pagtuturo. Kung magla-lecture ka lang ba, magpapagawa ka lang ba sa kanila, magpa-perform, or magpapanood ka lang ba sa kanila ng mga video, ganyan. Or magpapa-group work or group discussion. So, common sense weighs in on the side of learner-centered strategies. Learning becomes more exciting when there is more class participation. So, totoo naman. So, di ba kapag ang klase natin is ang dami nagpa-participate, lalo na kapag nagdi-discuss ka sa unahan, yung parang, kuwari kapag may tanong ka, ang dami nagtataas ng kamay para sumagot. So, di ba mas naging exciting yung klase natin, or mas naging engaging, di ba? Mas maganda, mas maganda yung ganun. So, ultimately, it's the learner who must gain mastery over the material, not the teacher. So, kapag kasi yung mga learners natin more on participation or more on participation sa klase natin. So, mas namamaster nila yung tinuturo mo. However, there will be a certain amount of crucial information and technique that the teacher must give over and demonstrate. So, kumbaga ikaw as a teacher, bibigyan mo rin sila ng mga konting advice or technique para yung mga estudyante mo is mas lalong matuto. So learning, sabi dito, learning is best when the teacher merely leads the student into discovering the correct answer to a problem text. So, sabi dito, mas the best if yung teacher natin is hinahayaan natin yung student natin na mag-discover kung ano yung sagot dun sa question nila. Parang learning by doing lang din. Or exploring. Di ba tayo minsan, kapag may mga, or for example ako, minsan kapag may mga tanong ako na hindi ko alam kung ano yung sagot, minsan sinesearch ko sa Google, and then, syempre, mga ano man yung reliable resources yung nahahanap ko. So yun, nalalaman ko yung tunay na sagot, and then, parang tumatatak na sa isip ko. Ganyan. So, mas magaganda pa rin na hayaan mo yung learners mo na matuto sa sarili nila. So, maging facilitator ka lang sa mga learners mo, and bigay ka lang ng knowledge, and hayaan mo sila na mag-discover sa ibang mga katanungan para matuto sila sa sarili nila. So, yung pang-apat is utilize technology, media, and materials. So, in this step, the process concerns making a plan as to how you will utilize the technology, media, and materials that you have selected. So, dito, i-utilize mo na yung select mong materials and technology na gagamitin mo. So, as with all of these instructional steps, you must make sure that your plans contribute towards producing the objective that you have laid down. So, dapat yung gagamitin mong instructional materials, technology, media, dapat align siya dun sa objectives na ginawa mo. So, it is important to follow the 5 P's. So, kailangan sundin natin yung 5 P's kapag mag-utilize tayo ng ating technology, media, and materials. So, sa number 1 piece po is preview the technology, media, and materials. So, ibig sabihin nito is magpaplano ka. It is important to plan ahead of time just how you're going to use them. So, magplano ka ahead of time kung paano mo siya gagamitin sa iyong pagtuturo. So, it is good to do a dry run of your lesson before you actually teach it. Make sure that the whole lesson will go smoothly and seamlessly. So, dito, mas dapat prepared ka sa ituturo mo. Dapat preparado ka kung ano na ba yung gagamitin mong technology, ano na ba yung mga materials na gagamitin mo para yung pagtuturo mo is maging smooth lang and walang interruption or distraction. Kasi minsan may mga circumstances na di ba yung sa technology natin, minsan gagamit tayo ng TV, which is TV tapos laptop. Minsan kailangan natin ng HDMI na tapos minsan hindi gumagana. So, dapat dito maging prepared tayo na kung ano yung mga kapag hindi gumagawa na yung ano ba yung pwedeng maging alternative mo na gamitin para makapagturo ka pa rin. Parang ganyan. So, dito, prepare the technology, media, and materials. So, parang ganun lang din siya. Yun nga, kailangan i-ready mo or i-prepare mo yung gagamitin mo technology and media and materials. So, dapat gumagana daw siya ng maayos. So, yun, sabi ko nga, minsan may mga interruption tayo na hindi gumagana yung kunwari, nagtuturo ka na tapos mga elementary yung tinuturuan. Biglang hindi gumana yung yung TV. Magiging ngarag ka kaya kung alin ang gagamitin mo sa pagpapanood mo sa kanila ng video. So, dapat palagi kang may alternative na plano. Plan B ba? Parang ganyan. So, sa din naman, paggawa ng, sabi dito, for example, if you are making a PowerPoint presentation, then you'll need to create the text and graphics for each screen. So, dito kapag gagawa tayo ng PowerPoint, consider din naman natin yung mga learners natin. Baka kasi minsan gumagawa tayo ng PowerPoint na sobrang sakit na sa mata, ganyan. Siyempre, yung mga elementary natin na bata, oo, mahilig sila, attractive sa kanila yung mga matitingkad na kulay, but syempre sa ibang mga estudyante, masasakit mo na yun sa mata. Or, yung mga text is hindi mo nakita. So, prepare the environment. Ito yung pangatlong piece. There is some minimal preparation required to set up the learning environment. Simple things like making sure that you have enough desks are important. Also, if you have control over the presentation, then you need to create text and graphic for each screen. So, dito, kailangan mo lang i-make sure na yung environment ng klase mo is walang distraction. Or, ikaw as a teacher, dapat prepared ka din sa student mo. So, yung pang-apat na P is prepare the learners. So, first, you need to clearly inform the learners as to what their learning objectives. So, yung kailangan alam ng mga learners mo kung ano yung learning objectives mo. Kasi, nakakatulong din. Sabi ko nga, nakakatulong ito sa mga learners natin na makapag-create sila ng mental map kung ano ba yung mga ma-absorb nila sa lesson mo. And sabi pa dito, it's important to tell the student how they will be assessed. So, dapat sabihin mo din sa student kung paano sila a-assess. Kung magpapaquiz ka ba, magpapa-perform, magpapa-test, sa matib, essay, ganyan. Kailangan mo din sabihin kung ano yung mga ipapa-assignment sa kanila, paano mo sila g-grade. So, yung pang limang P is provide the learning experience. So, dito, you don't actually carry out the lesson. This is where all of your planning takes effect. So, lahat ng plano mo dito na yun nakapaloob. Then, kailangan prepared ka kung paano mo ipaprocess or paano mo sa kanila ituturo yung lesson mo. So, the most basic step that you can take is requiring participation of the student in the class discussion. So, yun nga, palagi natin i-require yung mga student natin na mag-participate sa klase natin. So, beyond this, you need to plan exactly how the student will participate in the learning process, generally speaking. How will they learn the information and techniques included in the lesson? So, yung pang-apat, yung pang-huling step sa Azure model is evaluate and revise. So, di ba, una, analyze the learners. Number 2, set standards or objectives. Number 3, select media and materials. Number 4, number 4, utilize technology materials, media and materials. So, number 5 is evaluate and revise. So, ito na yung final steps sa Azure model or sa Azure process. So, na kung saan ito na yung pinaka-crucial sa lahat. Kasi, in this step, you evaluate the impact of your teaching on student learning. So, dito, i-evaluate mo na yung sarili mo kung ano ba yung naging impact ng pagtuturo mo sa mga student mo or sa natutunan ng student mo mula sa iyo. So, dito, nakapaloob yung kung ano yung teaching strategies na ginamit mo, ano yung technology na ginamit mo, ano yung media na ginamit mo, ano yung materials na ginamit mo. So, dito sa evaluate and revise, may mga questions tayo na makakatulong sa'yo para ma-evaluate mo yung sarili mo as a teacher. Tanungin mo yung sarili mo, did your lesson meet the learning objectives that you planned? O na-meet mo ba yung learning objectives mo? How will you determine whether the student reached the objectives? Paano mo ma-determine na na-reach ng student mo yung objectives mo? So, dito, syempre, through assessment. Syempre, kung yung nagpa-essay ka sa student mo after mo mag-lesson, tapos mataas, quiz, or long quiz, tapos mataas yung score nila, ibig sabihin, na-meet ng student mo yung learning objectives mo or intended learning outcomes mo sa kanila. So, yung pangalawang tanong is your way of assessing the student in line with your learning objectives? So, yun nga. So, align ba yung pag-assess mo or yung pa-assessment mo sa learning objectives mo? Siyempre, dapat, hindi naman pwedeng magbibigay ka ng assessment sa student mo na hindi naman aligned sa tinuro mo or sa objectives mo. Yung pangatlong tanong is, can this lesson be improved? How are you going to assess the weakness in your presentation? So, dito, magkakaroon ka ng reflection sa sarili mo. Ano ba yung weakness ng presentation mo? Bakit? Kunwari, mababa yung naging result ng score ng mga estudyante mo. So, iisipin mo, ano ba yung weakness? Ano ba yung mali na nagawa ko sa kanila? Or, ano ba yung siguro mali yung strategies mo, siguro hindi suited sa kanila yung materials na ginamit mo or yung media na ginamit mo sa iyong pagtuturo. So, the final step in your evaluation should focus on feedback from your students. Was their experience positive overall? Do they feel that they have reached your objectives and their own personal objectives? How will you determine whether or not your performance was effective? So, dito, kailangan mong i-determine kung naging effective ba or maganda ba yung performance mo sa iyong pagtuturo. So, in conclusion, the Assure process is really just a matter of common sense. So, yung Assure model daw is more on common sense lang siya, which is, kailangan iisipin mo kung para kanino ba yung pagtuturo mo, para kanino ba yung objectives mo, ano ba yung gusto mong objectives, ano ba yung materials na gusto mong gamitin, ano ba yung strategies na gusto mong gamitin. So, more on common sense lang siya. However, it is good to follow a regimented guide to improve your teaching technique. So, mas okay na sundin natin yung or magkaroon tayo ng guide para mas ma-improve natin yung teaching technique natin. Sabi dito, any effective teacher knows that the perfection of their technique does not come overnight and there is always room for improvement. So, ibig sabihin lang ito, hindi naman lahat ng teacher natin is perfecto. Wala naman perfectong tao sa mundo. So, huwag kang panghinaan ng loob kasi there is always room for improvement. So, anytime may improvement na mangyayari sa buhay mo. By following the Assure process, you will be sure to improve your teaching for many years to come. So, yung Assure model pala is makakatulong sa atin na mas ma-improve natin yung teaching natin as a teacher. As a future educator pala. So, let us delve to SAMAR model. So, the SAMAR model acts, sabi dito, the SAMAR model acts as a beacon for educators, nudging them to contemplate their decisions around incorporating technology in their lessons. It pushes them to delve deep into the rationale and methodology behind each technique inclusion. With consistent engagement and reflection, teachers find themselves not just becoming tech-savvy but also refining and advancing their instructional methods. So, yung SAMAR model po is sabi dito is nag-act as beacon sa ating mga educators. Dahil ito yung nag-contemplate sa kanilang mga decisions and nag-incorporate ng kung ano ba yung technology yung gagamitin nila through their lessons. So, dito nagkakaroon tayo ng delve deep rationale sa ating ituturo or kung paano natin sila tuturuan. So, sa SAMAR model, hindi lang naging tech-savvy ang ating mga teachers, but also, nagkakaroon din sila ng advanced instructional methods para tayo ay matuto or yung estudyante natin ay matuto. So, ang first acronym sa SAMAR model is substitution. The starting point of Pontedera's framework is the principle of substitution. Think of it as swapping out traditional tools with their technological counterparts. So, dito nagkakaroon lang ng swapping ng traditional tools and kung ano yung technology na magagamit natin sa pagtuturo natin. So, for instance, instead of penning down thoughts with a traditional pen and paper, so yung traditional natin, di ba, more on blackboard, pen and paper lang yung gamit natin. So, dito, gagamit na tayo ng word processor na kung saan yung essence ng task natin is pareho, pero yung tools na ginamit natin is nagbago. So, for example, students, rather than completing worksheets manually, print them, fill them out, and submit them. So, ang dito is yung kapag gumagawa tayo ng essay, di ba, ngayon, so, madalas hindi na tayo nagsusulat sa papel, 200 to 300 words. So, gumagawa na lang tayo sa Word na kung saan doon na tayo magta-type lang tayo sa keyboard natin, tapos ipiprint natin and then ipapasa na natin sa ating mga teachers. So, sabi dito, yung example dito is student type their assignments instead of handwriting. So, yun nga. Imbis na isulat na lang, tinatype na lang, tapos yun na. Doon lang kabilis, pinapasa na agad sa teacher natin. So, digital textbooks come into play din, replacing their physical counterparts. Quizzes, which were previously paper-based. So, yung dati kapag napaquiz baga tayo, sabi nila, may quiz tayo, get 1 per sheet of paper. So, ngayon, pwede na tayo mag-conduct ng quiz natin through LMs or learning management system like Canvas. So, nakakapagpa-quiz sa Canvas. Ngayon ko lang nalaman. So, the age-old classroom discussion usually face-to-face shifts to online. So, ito, nangyayari to kapag may mga suspension tayo. Itong old classroom discussion to face-to-face shift to online. So, di ba kapag may mga suspension tayo, na bigla-biglang na-suspend, konting ulan, suspend, tapos, okay, online class. So, yun. So, dito lang sa substitution is nagkakaroon lang tayo ng swapping ng traditional tools to traditional tools to technological counterparts. So, yung pangalawang acronym sa SMAR model is augmentation, which is following the initial stage of substitution, we journey into the realm of augmentation. So, dito, yung technology is not just replacing traditional tools, but it's enhancing them. So, dito, hindi lang pinapalitan yung traditional tools natin. Kumbaga dito, is mas ini-enhance nila yung ating tools na gagamitin. Adding a layer of improvement to the learning experience. So, nagkakaroon ng improvement sa ating learning experience dito. So, it's like taking a basic list and transforming it into an interactive digital timeline, making the information not only accessible but engaging. So, dito, nakakapag-conduct pa rin tayo ng engaging, nagkakaroon pa rin tayo ng engaging sa ating pagtuturo. Engaging and interactive sa ating pagtuturo. So, ang example nito is, students might have once taken a quiz with pencil and paper. They now interact with dynamic quizzes through platforms like Google Forms. So, ito nga yung sabi ko na dati, kapag magpapaquiz tayo is through 1/4 sheet of paper, 1/2, lengthwise, ganyan. But ngayon, kung mapapansin nyo is makakapag-quiz na tayo through Google Forms. Students are empowered to use the internet for independent research on a subject. So, gumagamit tayo dito ng internet. Survey tools come into play, facilitating the gathering of diverse opinions and data. So, dito, sa augmentation is gumagamit din tayo ng mga survey tools. Kung saan mas nakakapag-gather tayo ng mga opinions and data. So, the static whiteboard gets a digital makeover as student engage with interactive whiteboard application. So, dito, di ba dito sa school natin is whiteboards ang gamit. So, parang traditional pa rin. Pero dito, sa augmentation is mas ginawa niyang interactive. Meron na tayong whiteboard application. Pwedeng meron sa tablet, cellphone, or sa laptop. So, at its heart, augmentation enhances the original task with a technological boost. So, ibinuboost niya yung technology. It's like giving a textbook the ability to interact, showcase multimedia, and even provide real-time feedback. The primary focus here is on amplifying the learning experience, leveraging technology to introduce elements that would not be possible with traditional tools. So, yung imposible sa traditional tools na ginagamit natin is ginagawang posible dito sa augmentation. So, the critical reflection. So, sa augmentation pala is nagkakaroon tayo ng reflection. I mean, yung mga teachers natin ng reflection sa sarili nila. So, ito yung tinatanong din. Does the technology add new features that improve the task? So, yung technology ba nakadagdag para magkaroon ng new features or mas na-improve ba yung task na pinapagawa? So, sa pangatlong acronym ng SAMR model is the modification. Progressing further into Venturo's structured framework, we arrive at the modification stage. So, here, yung technology, hindi lang niya ini-enhance yung original task, but nagkakaroon tayo ng significant overhaul, introducing dynamic and interactive elements na nire-reshape yung learning endeavor natin. Na kung saan yung technology is hindi lang kino-complement but nire-restructure nila yung education experience ng ating mga student. So, nagkakaroon dito ng innovative approach sa modification. So, for example, innovation is student crafting an essay theme, and this is, I believe, rather than a mere written submission, they now incorporate audio narrations complemented by personally curated musical backdrops. So, dito, imbis na gumawa tayo ng, so, yung example dito, imbis na gumawa tayo ng essay, so, yung student natin is, binibigyan natin ng task na kung saan gagawa sila ng music video or musical backdrops. So, involve yung technology talaga dito. So, traditional presentations transform into multifaceted pages enriched with hyperlink, multimedia, and dynamical. So, nagtatransform yung traditional presentation natin into multifaceted. So, yung class interaction natin are no longer confined to the physical classroom. So, yung class interaction natin is naging physical class, nagkakaroon na ng physical classroom. So, digital boards foster peer-to-peer learning, allowing for reflective writing and collaborative discussion. So, dito sa modification is nagkakaroon pa rin naman ng collaborative discussion. The conventional classroom setting is flipped. Students watch video lectures as homework, and the actual classroom time is dedicated to activities and direct interaction. So dito yung mga student natin, if ever na, I mean dito sa modification, nakakapag, yung mga video lectures natin is pwedeng panoorin na lang nila sa bahay nila. Ganyan. And then yung actual classroom time natin is dedicated na siya sa ating mga activities and direct interactions. So, yung collaboration din natin is nagkaroon ng digital boost. So, palaging involve yung digital whiteboards. Kung saan essential yun sa ating mga learners. At the modification stage, the integration of technology results in a profound redesign of the original task. To reflect on the shift, educators should ask, does the task significantly change with the use of technology? So, nagbago ba yung paggamit natin ng technology? I mean, nagbago ba yung task? Nagbago yung task gamit yung technology. So, dito na tayo sa panghuli, which is the redefinition. As we navigate further into Venturo's insightful framework, we reach the pinnacle, the redefinition. Here, the integration of technology doesn't just modify or enhance the task, it utterly transforms. So, dito hindi lang ini-enhance or integrate yung task natin, but also, dito sa redefinition is tina-transform niya. Redefinition propels learners into previously uncharted territories, fostering innovative outputs and previously unimaginable avenues of exploration. So, dito nagkakaroon ng innovation yung ating mga student. Nagkakaroon ng innovation yung outputs ng ating mga student and more on exploration. It's the realm where technology enables experience that are entirely new or impossible without its intervention. So, ang example nito is, imagine a classroom being tasked to produce a documentary video shedding light on core academic concepts. Here, students collaborate in teams, each focusing on unique subtopics. They are not just bound to textbook, they are actively reaching out to external sources, integrating diverse insight to produce a comprehensive final product. So, dito, yung mga estudyante natin is binibigyan natin ng, for example, binigyan natin ng task yung student natin ng documentary video. Na kung saan yung student natin is nagkakaroon ng collaboration or collaborate in teams na kung saan nakafocus sila sa kanilang mga subtopics and hindi lang sila nakabase sa mga libro na babasahin nila or hindi lang libro yung reference nila, but also magkakaroon din sila ng mga external sources na kung saan magkakonduct sila ng interview para magkaroon sila ng comprehensive final product. So, ang pangalawang example pa nito, ang ibang example pa nito is concept mapping. It is not just about sketching ideas on paper anymore. Students now utilize advanced mind mapping tools to visualize and interconnect complex ideas. So, dito sa concept mapping, hindi lang sila nag-sketch ng kanilang mga ideas sa papel. But also, yung student natin is makakapagkaroon ng mind mapping tools para ma-visualize yung kanilang idea. Animated storytelling tools like Photon. So, dito, sa redefinition is, nagkakaroon ng animated storytelling tools gaya ng Photon, Animoto, and Video Screen na kung saan ina-allow nito yung learners natin na makapag-narrate ng stories and makapag-present ng concept na kung saan through animated or animate visuals. So, the essence of redefinition, the stage lies in the creation of entirely new task and experience. So, dito, yung redefinition is, ibig sabihin lang ng redefinition is, nag-create lang ng panibagong task and experience. So, to encapsulate this, educators are prompted to reflect. So, mag-reflect naman yung mga educators natin. Does the technology allow for creation of a new task previously inconceivable? At this juncture of the Samar model, educational practices ascend to the upper echelons of Bloom's taxonomy, emphasizing higher order cognitive skills. So, dito, yung redefinition po is, na-target niya yung ating HOTS or higher order thinking skills dahil nagkakaroon tayo ng nakapag-innovate tayo ng new ideas or nakapag-visualize tayo and nakapagawa tayo ng mga concepts na kung saan yun yung natatarget or naabot na yung higher order cognitive skills na ating mga student. So, embracing redefinition means not just adapting to technology, but allowing it to be the catalyst for groundbreaking educational paradigms, reshaping how knowledge is conveyed, absorbed, and applied. So, to embrace redefinition daw, hindi lang ito para ma-adapt yung technology natin, but ina-allow din ito yung student natin na magkaroon ng knowledge or makapag-convey ng knowledge and ma-absorb yung knowledge and ma-apply siya. So, in conclusion, So, delving into the intricacies of the SMART model offers educators a comprehensive lens to evaluate and enhance their approach to technology integration. However, it's paramount to remember that while the SMART model serves as a powerful reflective tool for assessing the depth of technology integration, it is an infallible solution to every educational challenge. So the SMART model acts as a beacon for educators, nudging them to contemplate their decisions around incorporating technology in their lessons. So the SMART model serves as a guiding framework, prompting teachers to actively think about how and when to best integrate technology into their teaching practices, rather than simply using without a clear purpose. So, yun lang. Do you have any questions? Thank you for listening.